This is a Rough Tiger production.
And you, and you, and you, and you were there. Some of it wasn't very nice, but most of it was beautiful.
Hola.
Hola, and Happy New Year.
Slappy Jufear or Crappy Pew Beer. What is it? Happy New Year. That's right.
There we go.
Welcome
hello,
back,
everybody.
folks.
That's right. Welcome back to another year of Dream Idiots. Bryan and I were celebrating the fact that we came on the airwaves, so to speak, last January, and then realized we didn't. We actually came on in March of last year, but we rushed out a whole bunch of episodes all at once there at the beginning, about a dozen, I think, early on, or 10 or a dozen, something like that. Anyway,
Something like that. Yeah.
Welcome to 2023. We are recording this slightly before Christmas, and Bryan, it is colder than shit here in Colorado tonight. It is currently 6 degrees, and it's going to get a whole lot colder tonight.
Yeah, down here in San Antonio, it's supposed to get into the 20s. Not tonight, but tomorrow night, which for here, everyone is freaking the fuck out because panicking always helps. So so that'll be interesting. I'm sure there'll be there's no ice. So happily there will not be lots of stupid accidents probably, but people are definitely panicking.
All right. That always helps.
Yes.
Helps.
And thanks for listening, folks. We appreciate it. And our numbers keep going up. I think we've hit 1,500 downloads just on Apple Podcasts, and so you're definitely tuning in and liking and sharing. So keep it up and shoot us 5 stars if you don't mind on whichever platform you're listening. That would be hugely appreciated.
Yes, we do appreciate it. And you can find us at all kinds of places. We've got our Facebook page up. We've got what else do we have going on, Bryan? You know all those things by heart. I do not.
We're on Facebook and Instagram at Dream Idiots. You can go to dreamidiots.com. And our email address is just dreamidiotspodcast@gmail.com. If you want to drop us a line, you can do that as well.
Yeah, and Bryan's trying to put up images with all our episodes. We're trying to get our sources up for each of our episodes as well. So you can start looking for that on our website. And I think we've got our usual 2 stories and a curse word of the week, but Bryan has an update to start us off with episode
just one
51.
One quick compelling one that was sort of I saw this and it just seemed like a nice hearty 2023 fuck you to a bunch of folks that are worthless racists. Just recently I talked briefly about Henrietta Lacks, who was a African-American woman who unfortunately died incredibly prematurely, died young at age 31, and then of cancer, and her cells were sort of harvested, and her cells have actually been the basis now of, I think, 11,000 patents and have been used extensively in medical research now for decades, for 70 years since her death. And this is ridiculous and a travesty and what's the word I'm looking for? Oh yeah, racist. The update that I just popped up on my news feed today, back when George Floyd was murdered by the police in Detroit, there was a man attending a Black Lives Matter protest in Roanoke, Virginia, who basically knocked down, I don't know how he did it exactly, but knocked down the decades old certainly, statue of Robert E. Lee in Roanoke, Virginia. And after he got knocked down, the city leaders there decided, you know what, let's just keep him down. That area, that square, that whatever, has subsequently been named for Henrietta Lacks. And they announced literally today, we're recording this on December 21st, that there is a sculptor working. The sculptor's name is Larry Bechtel. He's working on a sculpture of Henrietta Lacks, and she's going to be put up in that square in lieu of Robert E. Lee. And she'll be up in October of next year, or October of 23.
Well, that is very cool.
Yeah. So Her one of her children, she had a bunch of children, 9 or 10 children. One of her children is actually still alive, and he will be alive, hopefully, still to see that when it gets unveiled. So pretty cool.
Oh, that is very cool. That is good news for change from us here at Dream Idiots.
So there you go. A little bit of good news for the new year. Okay, so for my story is not really a story, but I kind of dove into a internet wormhole a few days ago, because I used to always laugh that I've known several people and I've had, frankly, relationships with a number of women who have a certain type of fear that I didn't realize was a genuine fear. Have you ever heard of, I believe this is pronounced trypophobia, TRYPO phobia?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay.
I don't recognize it.
So, again, I know multiple people who, when they see like a picture of a sponge or
Yeah.
a
Okay.
honeycomb
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
a
Okay.
close up of a golf ball,
Yeah.
they get dizzy, get nauseous, and like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. This is not, I mean, agoraphobia, claustrophobia, that's a fear. You have a fear of, but it turns out, if you look up fears, it's on the list. And apparently, I judge they think that it is tied to, it's a fear response. There may have been, back thousands of years ago, it may have been a safety thing because there may have been an animal that had, whatever. It may have been in response to something that may be trying to attack you, and it's a primordial thing buried somewhere deep in your DNA, and it's not just silly nonsense that someone made up. But as you are certainly aware of, there are a number of disorders or conditions that are genuine. Agoraphobia, fear of crowded places, open places. It's I think seems to be pretty closely related to sort of social anxiety. Acrophobias, fear of heights. Claustrophobia, obviously a fear of confined spaces. You might be aware of aviophobia.
Fear of birds.
No, it's fear of flying, and so
Oh, okay.
aviophobia is the fear of flying,
Which is my story for okay. I should have seen that one coming. All
there
right.
you go. And I used to joke, growing up, I always had dogs and had as you may recall, a gigantic backyard that always had dog shit. And so I had mastered by the time I was 15, I had mastered the skill of leaping up in the air to catch a football or frisbee. And then I could quick look down before my feet hit the ground to make sure I didn't land in dog shit. And I used to call this dog shitosis. But that was my fear. But there are hundreds of fears that are listed that I judge from a psychological standpoint are genuine fears, and some of these I may make you or encourage you to guess at, but most of them, just from the word, you wouldn't have any sense of whatsoever. But I would run down some of these that I thought were especially ridiculous or enjoyable and worthy of derision. So
Okay.
syngesiophobia.
Syngesiophobia.
Syngesiophobia. It is the fear of relatives for the holidays. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Papaphobia. PAPA.
Papaphobia.
Mm-hmm.
Fear of potatoes.
that would almost make more sense. Papaphobia, fear of the Pope.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Lipophobia.
Fear of fat.
LIPO. Yep.
Fear of fat. Okay.
Fear of fat. Linonophobia. LINONO.
Fear of words. Fear of typing. Fear of linoleum. Am I close on any of those?
Fear of string.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Fear of string. Okay.
Zemophobia. ZEMMI.
ZEMMI. Well, fear of clear colored malt beverages. No, that would be xenophobia. I don't know. I don't know what xenophobia is.
And then and Zeppophobia would be fear of the Marx Brothers. No, fear of the I don't know who this is. It says fear of the great mole rat. Who the fuck is the great? Is that I don't know. Is that a character from Gulliver's Travels? I have no idea who that is.
Or is it a species of mole rat? I have no idea.
Could be. I don't. No idea.
Okay.
Arachibutyrophobia. Arachibutyrophobia.
Well, I'm guessing spider. I don't know, spider monkey fear. I have no idea.
Fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of your mouth.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's a good one.
Xerophobia, Xero.
Xerophobia. That's fear of deserts or
Yeah, close.
okay.
Fear of dryness.
Fear of dryness. Okay.
Genophobia, genophobia, I guess. GENU.
Fear of categorization.
It is the fear of knees and kneeling.
Okay.
As in genuflect. So genophobia.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right.
All right, sure.
Asymmetrophobia.
Fear of lopsidedness.
Yeah, basically fear
Okay.
of things that are asymmetrical. Philophobia.
Philophobia. Fear of love.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Spot on. Globophobia.
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 Fear of blood.
Oh, as in hemoglobin?
Yeah. No, not
Nope.
right. Well, hemo would be the blood part, right? So
Right.
I have no idea. What is it?
A fear of balloons.
Fear of balloons. Okay, I can see that. Okay, so if you have globoaviophobia, you have a fear of your balloon flying away,
Mm-hmm.
which happened to me often. Which happened to me often as a child. So
right, it's all of us. Yeah. Kinemortophobia. KINEMORT.
Fear of moving after death, or fear of the Walking
Oh
Dead.
God, how the fuck?
Right?
Yes, yeah, that's right. Actually,
well, Kino means to move, and Mort is dead, right? So
right. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I didn't know. I get.
Okay.
Eurythophobia. So EREUTH. phobia. EUTHO phobia.
Euthanasia. I don't know.
Fear of urethras? No.
Well, I was actually going there at one point. Fear of being buried alive. Fear of no. Okay.
No. Generally speaking, fear of the color red, or fear of basically being embarrassed, fear of blushing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm not even
doing for me.
This one just looks weird on the page. Anite phobia. ANATIDAE phobia. Anatidaephobia.
No idea. No idea. None.
Fear of being watched by a duck.
Well, I kind of have that with Canada geese, because they're pretty yeah.
So as with pterodactyls, this is pteridophobia. PTERIDO phobia.
Oh, gosh. I feel like I should know that. What does tarot mean? No. Earth? No, that's I have no idea, dude. I'm totally having a brain fart on that one.
So basically it is sort of winged, because pteridophobia, fear of ferns, pteranophobia, fear of feathers. So
I can
feathers
see that
versus
connection.
leaves. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay, I can see that
So
connection.
I
All right.
kind of like that. Yeah, that connection.
Okay.
Uh,
All right.
so I guess this must be geliophobia or geliophobia, Gelio.
Uh, fear of Fresnel lights that are colored on the stage when you're in theater arts. I don't know. You got me.
It is basically fear of laughter.
Oh, that's sad. Okay.
It's something. I mean, it's apparently it's tied to people who are worried about their teeth, but it
Oh, okay.
but it reveals itself in a in being a closed mouth laugher, I guess.
Oh, okay. That's disturbing on a variety of levels. Okay.
Ostraconophobia. It's not the fear of ostriches.
Uh,
Ostracono.
fear of being alone, fear of large large groups of instruments, musical instruments. I don't.
But being alone actually made sense. Ostraconophobia is fear of shellfish.
Oh, like an osteria. Okay.
Uh,
Okay. All right.
Owlophobia, not OWL, fear of owls. AULO.
Is that fear of cats?
Nope.
Oh, okay. That's allurophobia. So what is allophobia?
Allophobia is fear of flutes. And this is a genuine fear, not so much anymore, but it was pretty common during the early days in battle that fife players would play the flute.
Oh, okay. Cause like in a fife and drum in the
Right.
fife and
Yeah.
drum corps. Okay.
Right. That.
And I will say that some of those Herbie Mann album covers are pretty scary. So
Right.
okay.
Oops, lost my where we go? Lost my notes here. Metrophobia. This doesn't make any fucking sense at all. METRO.
Fear of time or rhythm.
Actually, in a certain respect, you're not too far off.
Fear of Kirby Puckets.
Right. Spot
Hitting a
on.
hitting a home run off of you in a domed stadium. I don't know.
Fear of poetry.
Oh, all right. Fear of meter and rhyme and okay, gotcha,
Right.
gotcha. Okay, I grok. All right.
Pantherophobia. PENTHERA.
Panterophobia, fear. No, I don't know. I don't know.
Fear of your mother-in-law.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Venus trap phobia.
Fear of Venus flytrap. Fear of carnivorous plants. Fear of.
Yep. This is fear of attractive women.
Okay.
Geniophobia. GENIO.
Geniophobia, fear of friendliness, fear of. You're looking at me like I'm genio.
I'm not
I don't
looking
know.
at you. I'm looking at my notes. So,
I don't know on that one.
like with the fear of knees, this is fear of chins. So there is this notion that there
Oh
is
bullshit! It is not.
chins and knees are weak points, and so there are people that have this anxiety tied to them because they are vulnerable to be injured in these locations, basically. So geniophobia.
He's got a glass jaw, got a glass
Yeah,
chin.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
This one's probably incredibly common these days. Nomophobia. NOMO. It's not fear of Hideo Nomo.
Nomophobia,
Mm-hmm.
fear of masks.
Fear of
Nomophobia.
losing your cell phone.
Oh, okay.
Or not having service. Yeah.
Okay, so it's like FOMO or NOMO. Okay, fear of missing out, fear of your cell
Right.
phone. Gotcha. Okay.
Turophobia. TURO.
Don't know.
Fear of cheese.
Oh, that's really sad. That may be the
Mm-hmm.
saddest one so far.
um Xanthophobia. Xantho.
Oh God, I should know this one. Fear of plants? No. Fear of xanthrophobia. Man, I'm topping them off the T-ball. I can't. What
No
is it?
idea.
Nope.
Fear of the color yellow. So a school bus would give you a fucking panic attack, I guess. Again, what I mean, what again? Some of these just seriously, fear of high places. That makes sense. Some of these are just ridiculous. Ephebiphobia. EPHEBI phobia. Ephebiphobia.
EPH.
HEBI.
I have no idea. I'm
Fear of teenagers. Fear of adolescents.
okay.
And just a couple more here. I can't even say this. Omphalphobia. OMPHALO. Ompalophobia.
Fear of Oompa Loompas.
That would actually almost be better. Fear of belly buttons.
Oh, okay.
A couple of these are maybe a little bit more obvious. Decidophobia.
Well, fear of making decisions or having to decide, or okay.
Mm-hmm. This one's not maybe not obvious. Deipnophobia. DEIPNO.
Fear of drinking or fear of diphtheria.
Fear of dining with others. Whatever.
Mm.
And then second to last, phobophobia.
Fear of fear.
Fear of fear, basically. Yeah. Fear of phobias. And then the best one on the list, hippopotamonstro-equipedaliophobia. Hippopotamonstro-equipedaliophobia.
Fear of large, monstrous somethings.
Words.
Well, fear of large words.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've never heard of that one.
So, I'm definitely, mental health is health. Some of these are complete nonsense, but
Well, getting back to your very first one, is it trypophobia, the fear of the holes?
yeah.
There was an episode of American Horror Story that set people off because one of the characters had that.
Oh, really?
And it is to me that is quite disturbing when you have I kind of get that one, really. I do. That one's kind of for me, it's not a fear, it's more of a ugh. There's just this kind of grossness to it. And I mean, when you first mentioned that, I'm kind of starting to itch. And
oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, I am. That's kind of yeah, that doesn't look right to me when you see that kind of stuff. I just there's something about that really eek.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Didn't mean to set you off.
There's one, I don't know the word for it, but there's a fear of clowns that's a really good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was on the list at one point. I had to call this thing down. Actually, I skipped 6 or 8.
Triskaidekaphobia is another good one too.
What's that?
Fear of the number 13.
Oh, really? Yeah. There's fear of numbers in general. There's fear of the number 8 as well. Like, oh my god. Of all the things to make up be fearful of.
Well, I mean, we all come with our different traumas.
Well, that's true.
We can associate different colors with different things, and for me, I don't think it's fear. It's more of distaste and
right,
uncomfortableness, embarrassment, that it is fear. Except, well, I'm not going to share what they are, but I do have a couple of ones that are like, yeah, I'd rather not do that. I don't like crowds of people that much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that has been on my list of things to cover in the future. Now I can take that fear of
beat you to it.
Phobias off my list. So
well,
thank you, Bryan. That was a wonderful trip.
Wait a little bit. You can do it again because we're men in our 50s. We'll forget we did it. So
fear 50s.
This week we're going to talk about phobias. That rings a bell. Let's talk about it. So.
All right.
And I do have one curse word for you.
Do I need to be afraid of it?
Nope. This is actually a word that this feels like it's not really a curse word, but it's a word that should be added to the lexicon. The word is coddywomple. CODDIWOMPLE. Coddywomple. It's a verb.
Well, it sounds like cattywampus, which
Mm-hmm.
means something at a diagonal. So maybe it means some. What? Say it again. Cottywomple.
Coddywomple. CODDI. Womple. Yeah.
Maybe it means to put something in disarray or to mess up.
Yeah, kind of. So it is the verb version of a walkabout. To have to cottywomple is to travel very purposefully without a destination.
To enjoy the voyage, not necessarily
Yeah,
where you're
exactly.
going.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
It
All right.
seems for some reason it seems very um it's it seems very Australian to me, although it doesn't say that in the
It
history.
sounds very Australian. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's either a verb or an
Australia.
animal.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The red-nosed collywomple, he's gonna kill you, mate.
Well, if it's an animal, it's most likely going to kill you if it's Australian. So
Right,
I
right.
will I will consult with my Australian relatives and see what they say
Okay.
about cottywomple. That's a great word. Um, okay, my turn. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is it my turn now? Okay.
You're up.
So, Bryan, I thought I would start the new year on a note of hope and tell you and our listeners the story of young Corporal Voytek from World War II. It's
Corporal
a story
Voytek.
about Voytek. It's a story about finding a family when you don't have one, fighting for a cause you believe in, and earning your place in history. War is quite efficient at creating, among other things, orphans. This is such a story, but it is a story tinged with hope. Voytek was found at a railway station in Hamadan, Iran, sometime in 1942 when he was quite young. His mother had been shot and killed, and the rest of his family was nowhere to be found. He was of what we would call Iraqi origin. The name Voytek was given to him by a group of Polish soldiers who adopted him and called him one of their own. He could speak no Polish, however, and you might be asking yourself, what was this group of Polish soldiers doing out and about in that part of the world during World War II? You might be asking yourself that. Well, these group of soldiers were members of the Drugi Korpus Wojska Polskiego, or, and I apologize to all our Polish-speaking listeners that I just massacred for that. The Polish II Corps was the name of that group. They operated primarily in Italian campaigns during World War II, although they did travel afield into the Middle East often. I believe Menachem Begin was a member of this corps at one point in his military career. Under the aegis of the Polish government in exile, the bulk of these soldiers came from the gulags in the Soviet Union, where they had been sent after the German and Soviet invasions of Poland in September of 1939. From our perspective, we often forget that there was a Soviet invasion of Poland at the same time, because the Nazi-Soviet pact of 1939 allowed this joint operation where the Germans attacked Poland from the west and the Soviets attacked Poland from the east, and then the two aggressors basically divided up and annexed their respective halves of the conquered country. So if you were Polish at that time living at home, you were caught between the devil and the deep blue sea at that point. And all of that went out the window, of course, in the summer of 42 when Germany invaded the Soviet Union. So the Poles were freed from their exile by the Soviets and allowed to form a Polish army in Soviet-controlled territory. They said, hey, go form your own army so we can all fight the Nazis together. We just talked about this, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Right, sure.
Thus, the Polish II Corps entered the war. So these guys are a pretty pissed off, angry bunch of guys. They've seen their country torn apart by both fascists and communists. They're ready to fight, and they're pretty damn good at it. And into this brew, they add Voytek, who, despite his young age, is quickly adapted to army life and excelled at transporting used ammo shells from the field. And these are large shells, too, from the large artillery guns. He was conscripted into the Polish army at the rank of private. And he was as helpful as he could be in the day-to-day operations of the army unit, but he was really celebrated as a mascot and as a source of pride for the men of his particular company he was a part of. And Oh, you know what, Brian? Did I mention that Voytek is a bear?
I was wondering if that
I,
you did
I
not
don't think I
mention that.
mentioned.
Like something
Okay.
about this story is beginning to ring a bell. Okay.
Now, sometimes in this retelling of the story, Voytek is found with an Iraqi child who's taking care of him. They're taking care of each other. But for sure, though, it was a general's daughter who first loved this little bear that was found at this railway station and cared for him in the early days. Her father, the general, arranged for the cub to be taken by the Polish II Corps. He was often fed milk from a converted vodka bottle. So they took a vodka bottle, filled it up with condensed milk, popped a nipple on it, and they would feed Wojtek that way. His specific unit within the Polish II Corps was the 22nd Artillery Supply Company, which saw heavy action all through Italy, as I mentioned, but specifically at the Battle of Monte Cassino between January and May of 1944. And I've got to ask you, Brian, could you imagine being an Italian soldier, wandering along, maybe separated from your regiment, stopping to take a leak in the woods on a dark night, and something comes through the woods at you, and you realize that it's a big, damned Syrian brown bear? I would go from taking a leak to taking a shit like that. Or you're a German who stumbles upon the campfire where these guys are sitting around having a smoke, having a drink, and they are in the company of a large brown bear.
Mm-hmm. That weighs, I mean, how big is this bear? Do we know?
Well, we do know that his final size is about 5'11", and he weighed a strapping 1,100 pounds. As per Wikipedia, the Polish II Corps inventory included 248 pieces of artillery, cannons, guns, 288 anti-tank guns, 234 anti-aircraft guns, 264 tanks, 1,241 armored personnel carriers, 440 armored cars, 12,064 cars, trucks, and what were called Bren carriers, sometimes known as tankettes, very smaller tanks, treaded vehicles that had maybe machine guns mounted on them, and one Syrian brown bear, and in parenthesis, soldier bear. He was known as a combat bear or soldier bear. During his downtime, Voytek loved sitting with the other soldiers of the unit, especially by the campfire light at night. Apparently, he would sit like a dude, just on his butt with his paws on his knees, and hang out with the guys, smoking cigarettes and drinking beer. He absolutely loved beer. His idea of smoking a cigarette was to take one or two puffs. A guy would put it in his mouth. He would puff on the cigarette a couple times, and then he would proceed to eat the cigarette.
Okay, that makes more sense. I'm just trying to imagine the bear actually handling a cigarette.
No, it's hard. It's hard. Voytek had somewhat of a special uniform made that would have fit his unusual frame and his size. I already mentioned his final height of about 5'11", his final weight of 1,100 pounds. In combat, there were reports from British officers of Voytek carrying and stacking 100-pound ammo crates and stacking them neatly and orderly. He would see the men do this,
and easily.
It would take 2 or 3 men to lift one of the crates. He would lift one by himself and put it in a perfect stack.
Right.
There's also stories of him retrieving shells and carrying them all on his own back from combat. Like I said, he would retrieve shells. And there's also some stories, and I don't know how much this has been confirmed, but there's a couple folks who claim that they did see Voytek marching on his hind legs in formation with the men of the company. That he just liked to hang out and march with his guys. Yes. I don't know if he had a helmet or not. And Brian, I'm sending you a picture right now on your phone if you've got it handy. The 22nd, he belonged to the 22nd Company, as I believe I said, 22nd Artillery Supply Company. They eventually adopted the image of a bear carrying an ammo shell as his official emblem, and I've just sent it to you.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's a pretty sweet patch.
Killer. That is phenomenal. And it's very obviously, you can tell exactly what that is. I mean, there's no, that's a bear carrying a 4-foot-long artillery piece.
Easily, too, in one arm, just kind of striding along. At the end of the war, the 22nd Company was stationed in an airfield in Scotland, and Voytek became a bit of a local celebrity, as did
In
his
Scotland?
handlers in Scotland. And there's a reason they did this. The unit was demobilized there in November of 1947, and Voytek was actually mustered out after a promotion at some point at the rank of corporal. The soldiers wanted Voytek to remain in Scotland rather than return to Soviet-controlled Poland, because it became clear that the Soviets were not going to give up Poland after the Nazis lost the war.
Right.
And the Polish soldiers were concerned that Voytek would no doubt be used as a propaganda tool for the Soviet Union. So his new home became the Edinburgh Zoo. He lived there until his death in December of 1963 at the age of 21. Many of his comrades in arms, the Polish veterans, chose to remain in Scotland or abroad in Europe and not return home to Poland, but they would often visit their old friend Voytek and toss him his favorite snack, unlit cigarettes, which he would promptly eat. There are statues of Voytek all across Poland. I think there's 6 or 7 of them, a couple in Warsaw, and there's a few in the UK. There's one in London, and there is one in Edinburgh. There's a few. There's at least one book written about this particular artillery company and the Polish II Corps in general. Sources for this piece were Wikipedia for general info on the Polish II Corps and the Battle of Monte Cassino, which was a pretty devastating war. 75,000 people, 75,000 casualties from that war between the Allied and the Axis forces. And a great website called thesoldierbear.com, which is all about Voytek. And I'm sending you another quick image here. And I guess this is when a picture of them training him to carry the shells. If you take a look at that.
Oh yeah, okay.
Photo there. I just love this story. Someone brought it to my attention a number of years ago. One of my sons did it as a report for one of his stories for one of his history classes.
Uh-huh.
And
that is a man in a bear outfit. I'm telling you.
I don't think it is, because you look at that neck, you look at that head. It's a great story, and I just, this has got to be a movie at some point, right? I mean, you have got to make this movie, even if it's. I mean, for God's sakes, they're coming out with a horror version of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey next year. This year, actually, 2023. They could do this movie. I mean, it would be a great movie. The story of this bear wandering around with this artillery company all through Italy in these campaigns, because he was there for 3 years. I mean, that's impressive that he was part of this unit for 3 full years.
Long.
Yeah, and there's
1,100-pound bear, and so I mean, carried shit around. Did he actually kill any Nazis?
Not to my knowledge, not what I could find.
That would actually be funnier.
Well, I mean, you could see somebody like, I don't know, Quentin Tarantino or Taika Waititi or someone like that taking on one of these and turning it around a little bit. But apparently, all the guys in his unit loved him, and on cold nights they would all huddle up around him, and they would all just sleep in one big group. And he was pretty protective of the guys. They loved him, and he had 1 or 2 trainers that were working him on a regular basis, but. I mean, you use what you got in front of you, right? And if you've got a big old bear leading the way, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. Yeah, go Poland.
And we do have a history of we being mankind has a history of trying to use unusual animals in warfare: bats, dolphins, camels. And by unusual, I mean unusual for American, because we had, out in West Texas, we had the camels being used in the cavalry for a while.
Right.
In the Old West. And of course, a history of canine use throughout. So there you go. Right. The story of Corporal Voytek of the Polish Army.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. I'm picturing, Brad Pitt as one of the handlers or something. That'd be brilliant. It'll never happen. Hollywood would ruin it and make John Goodman the bear or something, but
well, or give it to someone like the Duchess of Maine's favorite director, Wes Anderson film with Adrian Brody as the station master where the bear is found, and
right.
Jason Schwartzman as the trainer of the bear, and
right.
Anyway, Yeah. So I thought I'd start off. Little guy found a home with some comrades at arms, and then found a good life at the Edinburgh Zoo where he could eat all the cigarettes he could handle.
That's killer. That's phenomenal. Great story.
Yep. All right. Well, there we go. Welcome to 2023.
That's right.
And
We're gonna keep on trucking. I think we're gonna be on a good solid tear here for a good little while, probably. I've
sounds
got
like it.
I've got a whole bunch lined up. I know you do as well.
Hmm.
Thanks for listening, folks. We appreciate your feedback and continuing to do those things for us.
Yes, sir. And even though it's a new year, still keep on being good to each other.
Bye.
Bye.
This is a Rough Tiger production.
Bong bong,
Mhm.
Brian.
Bong bong.
Bong bong.
Bong bong. Good.